Good morning. I am Caress Clegg, and I'm here with NHCS Ready, Set, Return. This will be a series of videos to give parents more information on district plans and processes with reopening for the 2020-2021 school year. Today, I am joined by Assistant Superintendent of Operations, Eddie Anderson. Welcome, Mr. Anderson, and thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here.
Good. So we know a lot of parents have a lot of questions, and some of those pertain to the areas of operations. Can you briefly tell us what those areas are?
Well, an operations division consists of maintenance operations, child nutrition, transportation, facility planning and construction, and energy management, as well as safety.
So let's go ahead and start with transportation. How will seating on the buses look like with the reopening of 2020-2021?
It depends a lot on the plan that we are under. If the full student population is back in school under Plan A, then we'll be operating our buses as normal, but we'll be wearing face masks per the governor's executive order, and taking the precautions that are feasible within the bus. Under Plan B, we are required to provide social distancing. It limits students to one student per seat. Mm-hmm. So on a 72 passenger bus, we can fit 24 students, which that's a pretty significant reduction, and you can see the challenges that that's going to create in transporting our students to school.
All right. So talking a little bit more on that, you explained that the safety distances, we will be limiting buses to no more than 24 students. How will buses be wiped down between each route?
Well, we are using products that we are all on the EPA's list of approved products in fighting the COVID-19 virus. And we'll be wiping the buses down, but also we're in the process of purchasing misters or a sprayer. These are handheld devices which spray a disinfectant, and that's a quick and easy way to disinfect the buses between morning and afternoon routes.
Mm-hmm. And we know last year we experienced some bus driver shortages, and we worked on a plan to kind of get more bus drivers in. With the limited amount of students that we can put on buses now and the number of bus drivers we currently have, do we foresee this being an issue when we look at returning back to school?
We definitely do. I think, first of all, we're concerned about our staff and our bus drivers. If we have drivers that are in a situation where they've got medical issues, or because of their age, they're a vulnerable population, we're in the process of surveying our staff and our drivers to see how they are, see if they're planning to come back. And we're also working closely with teaching and learning work group to see how many students will be coming back, and how we can best plan the transportation needs. Last year, because of absences or vacancies, a lot of times we had to double up routes, and that causes delays in our elementary and secondary start times. So there's a potential this year that we'll double routes, but we'll plan for it. And if that way, start times may be adjusted to allow each bus to run 2 elementary routes. Obviously, if we're picking up a limited number of students, we're going to have to change those routes and change those start times. We're also looking at the possibility of shorter routes. Only about 1.5% of our students, of our bus riders, had to walk more than a half mile to their bus stop. Next year, that will definitely change. We're going to have fewer routes and quicker runs to accommodate all the routes and the double runs. So those are the things that we're looking at. And as soon as we know what the school day looks like, we'll start planning our bus routes accordingly.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Now shifting, let's talk about our plans for keeping our schools clean and sanitized. What will cleaning look like throughout the day under plans A, B, or C, or A or B?
Well, I think there's really not any significant change under the two different plans. I'll first start with some things that we're doing perhaps behind the scenes. Number one, our buildings have been sitting basically unused for an extended period of time. So before we can put students back in the buildings, there's some preparation work that we need to do. We're making sure that we run all our water. We want to flush out those water lines really good. They've been sitting, and we're doing a lot of preventive maintenance and servicing of our HVAC systems. We're changing filters. And we're looking at the best way to run and operate those systems when students are back. Obviously we want to refresh the air as often as possible, so we can accommodate that through adjusting our outdoor air controls and running those systems longer. Those are some of the things that you may not notice when you go into the building, but will certainly go a long way in keeping our buildings and the building occupants safe. Things you will notice, just the normal cleaning. Again, with cleaning our facilities, we have made sure that we've implemented guidelines or procedures for the CDC guidelines for cleaning, and that we're using products on the EPA's approved list. We will be focused on cleaning the heavy traffic areas, things that people touch frequently, anything from doorknobs and handrails to keyboards. So those are the things that you'll see happening throughout the day. And then the normal that would take place in the afternoons and evenings, we'll continue to do that, but we'll clean the building, and then we'll be disinfecting as well.
So I assume this goes to the bathrooms and hallways as well when we talk about.
Absolutely. We'll be working closely with school staff, that perhaps teachers are wiping down desks in between classes. Custodians will be cleaning restrooms and cleaning those high traffic, heavy use items during classes. So we'll be working closely with each school to make sure that we get all those areas clean and the building is as safe as possible.
Gotcha. Can you talk a little bit about playgrounds, Mr. Anderson, and what that will look like, or what that has the potential to look like in our plans?
Certainly. We right now our playground facilities are closed, but we do want to open them up even if it's a limited number of students. So again, we'll be just implementing CDC guidelines for cleaning those items. We'll be cleaning or wiping down the playground equipment in between uses.
One of the questions that I've already seen on our social media platforms, Mr. Anderson, is how will capacity be decided for our schools? Parents are wondering, is capacity going to be dictated by the amount of students who are actually in the school buildings, or the capacity number set for the school buildings?
Well, the guidance that we've received, there's two. Actually, I'd say there's three things that need to be taken into consideration. One, there's a 50% maximum occupancy, and that's a threshold. No matter what we do, we cannot put more than 50% maximum occupancy. And that's not just students. that's total occupancy, teachers, staff, everyone. So we are pulling that information together, and we'll be getting that out to principals. I don't think that will come into play at most schools. I think what will limit us before we ever reach that threshold will be the requirement for social distancing. So the number of students that are in any given classroom must social distance by a minimum of 6 feet. So we have some illustrations of different classrooms, different spaces, media center, multi-purpose rooms, gyms, cafeterias, and so forth, showing how many students you could fit in that space and provide teaching space, circulation, and student space practicing the social distancing. That will probably cut the number of students about in half. From the normal. So if you have 30 students in a classroom, you could fit 15 students in that classroom, providing the teaching space, circulation, and social distancing. The challenge with that really comes with the type of furniture. It's very easy to social distance when you have individual desks and chairs. It's more complicated with our younger age group, and because they typically have furniture that are larger tables, and so a normal table that would fit 6 children now fits 2. So we're looking at different options for using furniture in different ways, and if we have 30 desks and chairs in an upper grade class, using 15 in that class and perhaps moving the other 15 to a lower level class that typically has tables. We're considering all the options to maximize the number of students that we can get in our schools, but at the same time keep it safe. It's not only the class time that we're concerned about, but it's that transition time. It's restrooms, media centers, cafeterias, all of those spaces.
And you mentioned transition times. What are transition times going to look like? Or what are some concerns that your department is looking at in relation to transition times?
Well, I think instruction would be looking at that. I don't know if they would perhaps stagger some of those transition times or not. But we certainly want to limit the number of students transitioning in our hallways at the same time, and provide the most opportunity, the best opportunity for social distancing.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Now we want to talk a little bit to child nutrition. I know your division did a phenomenal job when Governor Cooper shut us down in March. He came out with that decision on a Saturday. On Monday, operations, child nutrition, they were up and running, and they were serving meals to our students who were not going to be in those classrooms. So talk to us a little bit about what child nutrition is going to look like for our students under Plan A or Plan B.
Well, and you're exactly right. Child nutrition did an amazing job, and it didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of pre-planning that went into that, putting that in place so quickly. And right now, they're doing the same pre-planning for the different options for child nutrition. I think the main thing, just like furniture in our classrooms, our typical cafeteria-style tables severely limit the opportunity to social distance. I think having that number of students in any given space is perhaps not the best arrangement, and consequently we'll be looking at eating in the classroom. If students are eating in their classrooms, we're looking at what's the best way to deliver those meals, considering individually packaged meals or even prepackaged meals. We will most likely have a limited menu, and we will pre-order, or students and staff would pre-order meals the day before. We're looking at options. That may be some type of phone application or online application, or it may simply be a sheet that everyone fills out the day before. But you would pre-order meals, and those meals would be delivered to the classroom. Then the trash would be collected following the lunch period.
Will we be still serving breakfast and lunch, or will we go to just one meal served?
Yeah, we're still serving breakfast. We're looking at more of a grab and go option for breakfast. If maybe there are multiple points of sale throughout the building, a prepackaged breakfast that students, as they're entering the building, can grab and take to class with them. And still having our cafeteria open as well for students that get to school and have time to go into the classroom, grab a breakfast, or go into the cafeteria, grab a breakfast before they go to their classroom. But we will definitely be serving breakfast and lunch.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson. Are there any other issues in the operations division that your work group are discussing that we haven't touched on yet that you would like to mention to our parents and families?
Well, I think not only the number of people in our buildings will certainly be different next year, and reopening will certainly look different. I think when we're looking at the possibility of temperature checks, we're looking at students and faculty wearing masks. We are providing hand sanitizer stations throughout the building. The plan is to put a station in each and every classroom. When spaces within the building will look different. There'll be marking on the floor that to promote social distancing, signage on doors and throughout the facilities to promote social distancing, really to promote the 3 W's altogether. Wearing a mask, wait and social distance, and wash hands frequently. Those are the reminders that I think are important to have for everyone that comes in our schools.
Mr. Anderson, as always, it is a pleasure talking with you. Thank you for taking the time to explain some of the operation work group discussions that are going on right now that will help us in our NHCS Ready, Set, Return 2020-2021. Thank you guys for joining us.